everybody, and welcome to Wow Cool Robot. I am Jake, and I use the he, him pronouns. And with me is Max.
I'm Max, and I use he, him pronouns. And this is going to be a little bit of a shorter episode this week, isn't it, Jake?
A little bit, by about 1/3.
By about a third, because as, you know, when I wanted to make this show, I do want to make this show still. I love making this show. It brings me great joy every single week. When I conceived of Wow Cool Robot, the podcast, I was like, well, I don't want to watch an episode a week because that pace is very slow. And I would still be on 0079 if that were the case. And I wanted it to be, and, you know, for Pot of Greed, we do 2 episodes a week on average. You know, we never do just one a week. I don't think we've ever done just one a week. We've done like a movie a week, but you know, that's obviously a different case. And I wanted it, but like, I also felt like 2 episodes per week is still pretty long because, you know, I want to be able to get a nice rotation of hosts going in and out. Like, I want it to be, you know, people come in for a couple months and then they're done, you know? Like, I don't want it to be like a big, you know, long-term commitment for my co-hosts. But when we looked at it this week, because, you know, we normally do 3 a week, we basically found out that if we were to do 3 this week, we would be in the middle of a 2-part episode, which doesn't really vibe with me. I wouldn't want to cut into the episodes called Lena's Blood. Don't want to know what happens in those episodes.
Ooh, it's gonna be... Ooh.
I'm thinking it's gonna hit pretty hard. So that's why we're doing 2 this week, because that will sort of write our course. So we will be able to do 3 episodes per week until the very end of the show, pretty much. I think, like, because it's 47 episodes? No, it's like 40... I don't know. The point is, regardless, there's 47 episodes, so... Yeah, that'll end up being a multiple of 3 if we do 2 this week. Either way, we're only talking about 2 episodes this week. We've begun the desert arc of Double Zeta, and previous host of the show, Colin, has said that this is their favorite arc of Double Zeta. They think this is the best arc of Double Zeta, and I think I can kind of see why so far.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like, you know, we'll get into it more when we start talking about the episodes, Jake, but I think what really gets me about these episodes, and also the previous one too, I guess you could kind of count, you know, the siblings love on the South Seas as part of the desert arc. I guess the Earth arc, I don't know how long they're on Earth for in Double Zeta, but like, they haven't really been big capital P plot episodes. They almost feel like sort of slice of life episodes, or the Gundam equivalent of a slice of life. It's like a Monster of the Week episode, you know? We show up, fight Mobile Suit, meet a new character dies, the end, move on. But it does it in a really good way, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, the emotional stakes, you feel invested even though you've only just met the character, and you know this is probably not going to work out so well for them in the end. But being in this arc, my chair is squeaking right now. Being in this arc, you know, I'm happy. I like this part. I like whenever the Gundam team or ship or what have you go to Earth, you know it's going to be a cool change of pace. And so far, I'm digging it. You get the thumbs up from Max.
Oh yeah, it's so far every episode on Earth has been a good one.
Yeah. Well, speaking of good episodes, Jake, we might as well get into it. I have renounced my laziness, and I am not using the wiki episode descriptions. I have been writing my own once more because it's just a little bit more, like, you don't get a whole lot with the wiki episodes. It almost feels like the next time on rather than the episode summary, because this is out on a whole lot of stuff. That said, Jake, would you like to read the description of episode 25?
Would I ever? Episode 25. The Face of Rommel. Kuraba gives the Argama an order to take the fight to Dakar, and the ship sends its Gundam team through the desert to make it there. In an oasis village in the desert, Zeon's Rommel Corps are introduced, a Zeon regiment who have been waiting in the desert for 8 years for Zeon's revival. Rommel gets intel that a Gundam team is incoming, so he sends his men out to fight. The Gundam team, however, is stopped for maintenance as their mobile suits are filling up with sand. Judo and Pol fly ahead to find food and water for everyone else. They are ambushed by Rommel, but escape and meet back up with the rest of the Gundam team. They once again ride out to fight Rommel, and after an intense battle, they defeat the Rommel Corps, leaving the families of the regiment in tears back at the village.
Hey Jake, do you think it's what did Tomino mean by this? Do you think it's do you think it's significant that a character that is belonging to the organization that is a blatant and very obvious Nazi Germany analog, do you think it's important that his name is Rommel and he's in North Africa?
You know,
what did Tomino mean by this?
It's just one of his little things, you know, just a little thing.
Just little TominoThinks.tumblr.com. It's like, again, yes, they do Sieg Zion all the time. It's very clearly meant to be, this is Nazi Germany. Their flag even looks like the Nazi Germany flag. But like, this character is Erwin Rommel, the Desert Fox, the well-known, infamous Nazi general who led the North African campaign.
It's a little on the nose there.
It's like not even on the nose, it's on the whole ass face. It's everywhere. You can't. It's just crazy to me, right? It's like, I know that Gundam is not a very subtle show most of the time. Even so, the fact that it's like, at this point, they're like, yeah, this guy is just like a not straight up like blatant, like he is just a Nazi turned into an anime character, which is like, I don't know. It's crazy to me. The show is brave, not brave. It's not like the show is like really saying anything super meaningful, but like, it's just like, I don't know.
It's a little ballsy to do that, yeah.
What's the show trying... Like, I don't get what the show's trying to tell me, you know? The show... I feel like it should be like, wow, isn't that kind of fucked up? Anyway, look at the episode. I don't know. It's a lot to take in all at once. Just, you know, right at the beginning of that. Regardless, this episode is starting out where we kind of get thrown into the action, right? It almost feels like... Because you know how Double Zeta will do a thing where the episode starts and then it... plays the, you know, you get like what almost feels like an episode preview, and then you get the episode title, and then you get their actual episode.
Yeah, like a little mini recap of the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
I had to make sure I didn't click on the wrong episode. I know, like, right? What is going on here?
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's interesting, but all we really see so far, and also very, very sad. The episodes that we're watching that I have legally obtained online don't have the openings baked into them. I don't know about you, but I just watch the opening before I watch the episodes every week because Anime Janai fucking whips. This is the last time we got it because this episode 25, is the last one that Anime Janai happens, and the next episode we got a new one, and it's a lot different.
Huh?
We'll talk about that when the time comes. I guess we can probably give it full attention next week, but. Yeah, no more Anime Janai. It is now a silent voice. Regardless, all we really see in this little opening is, you know, Kuraba's telling Ayug that they have to do a pincer attack on Dakar, attack from the north and the south. So they have to send out the Gundam team. But fuck all that, because everyone has new outfits.
And, oh my goodness. Can we just talk about some of them?
Please, let's talk about some of them.
So, first off, I think we got to mention him first, because he's the main character. Judo is now wearing like a blue shirt, and not anything dramatic, but it looks nice.
It's just a nice, yeah, you know, it's like cool. It has the sleeves rolled up like his last shirt. It's a cool blue Judo. It's like Judo got the blue tunic in the Temple of Zelda, right? Like he has double defense now.
All right, yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And then I want to bring up my favorite of the new costumes, Mondo. He is wearing a button-up shirt with the sleeves rolled all the way up to his shoulders, a pair of suspenders and a red bow tie, and just a little good boy shorts.
He looks like Augustus Gloop. I don't know what. Why does he look like this? He looks like a little fancy lad. He looks like the boy mayor of Argama, and it's just fucking funny. Did he pick his own outfit out? Is this what Mondo's really like? He's a fashionista? He's like just getting that drip up in the Argama, I guess.
Beecha told him it would look really cool.
Beecha doesn't know shit because from what I can tell, Beecha's wearing like a full ass tan suit.
Right?
Like, and then for Rue and Elle, like Rue's in like what looks like a green romper with her cool like little signature red shooting star on it, and Elle's in like a pink tank top, and Eno looks like a bowling dad. Eno was wearing a straight up bowling shirt and pants, and he looks like he listens to Steely Dan all the time. Eno fucking rules. I love Eno.
But one thing about Rue's new outfit, or her new look, she's rocking a side pony, and I'm like, hell yeah.
She's got that sick-ass Napoleon Dynamite side ponytail. I love it. Rue is so cool.
Hell yeah.
Oh, I just walk fashion, baby. The kids are at it again. This is what new type is. New type is drip, and the drip is the soup dripping out of your bowl, as we all know. But yeah, they all, they individually sortie. Judo's in Double Zeta, Rue's in Zeta, Ella's in Mark II, fucking Eno is in... No.
Eno's in the Mega Rider, I think.
Yeah. Eno and Pull and Mondo are in the Mega Rider, and Beach is in the Yakshiki. So we get the whole ass gang's here. It's like it is a full power Gundam team right now.
Basically everything but the Argama itself.
Yep, because the Argama is just fucking hanging out. They can't really go anywhere right now because, they can't really fight under Earth. So they're just sending the Gundams out. And we do cut over because we see a desert village oasis sort of place. And fucking, it's Zeon. And this is like Zeon Remnant Zeon, as in these people have been in here for the last 8 years as the Federation or the Principality of Zeon. And we see a rider roll up to Rommel, his name is Desert Rommel. Like fucking the Desert Fox. I cannot. Not to go 2011 Tumblr on you, Jake, but I can't even.
Literally can't even.
I literally cannot even begin. But yeah, he tells them that Mineva Zabi's in Dakar, and a mobile suit team is on the way to stop her, so they gotta fucking get ready for battle.
And Rommel kind of like clenches his fist, like mutters something about it being 8 years, and he's like, "We gotta take down that fucking Gundam."
He's so mad. Like, I don't know why he's been hanging out for 8 years in the desert. I mean, I guess, he's Zeon, and his men lost the war, but like, I can understand it's hanging out in the desert, but hanging out in the desert and also maintaining and upgrading your mobile suits and like waiting for the war to ignite once again, like tremendous foresight on these people. It's astounding.
And so yeah, he says that he wants to defeat the Gundams to protect the Zabi family. And so he says, "Gather the Rommel Corps."
The Rommel Corps, yippee skippy. And all the men roll up. They do the Sig Zeon. It fucking sucks. And then he asks where Nikki is, who's a corpsman. And, of course, cut to Nikki rolling up. His child and wife are, like, begging him to stop, dragging at his heels. And, like, Rommel hates this. And, like, Rommel slaps Nikki. And he's like, his family has no discipline. Like, and, like, Nikki has to, like, shove his family away. And it's just like, gah!
Yeah, it was rough.
It's like, fucking sorry that your wife and kid don't want you to go to war and die. That you've been, like, presumably raising this family for the last 8 years as you've been hiding out in a village in the desert. Fucking,
yeah,
it's hard hitting right away, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I was like, I immediately knew that, like, ooh, this is not going to have a happy ending.
No, absolutely not.
Not for Nikki.
Not for Nikki. Not for anyone, probably, but definitely not for Nikki. And of course, everyone's chanting Sig Zeon. They're doing the hand thing. Hate to see it. And they unveil. They roll out to like get their mobile suits ready, and they unveil them. They're covered in like palm leaves and stuff. And these. Well, one of them's new. One of them is an upgrade of an old one. We see the Desert Zaku, which, what you'd expect. It's this, like, cool sand-colored Zaku, like, this nice orange color. Has some extra antenna on the head. Has, like, some, like, dark brown, like, shield and accents. I like this thing. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a good color scheme.
And this other one that I thought was a Dom at first, it is not. This is a Dwaj, which is basically Desert Dom.
Yeah, it's I was looking it up on the wiki, and it's like a variant of the Dom. So in canon, it was based on the Dom. So I thought that was really cool. And then Rommel has his own Dwaj. He has a Dwaj custom that he's been working on.
Yeah, this one's cool looking. It's like, the regular Dwaj is like, tan and brown. And this is like a very cool dark red color with like some extra sort of like antenna bits on the top. 'Cause that's how you know the commander.
Right. And so his men have like kind of a mixture of the Desert Zakus and the Dwajes. And so they send out a scout, and he's like, we want to get an idea of their strength before we attack.
Yeah, it makes sense. Got to scout the enemy. I get that. Sure, I understand. And so they go out, and they like, importantly, like Nikki is the one who goes out as a scout, because they're always like, what's Nikki up to? Was Nikki up to this? So yeah, he's out too. But like, I think we see stepping over words. I'm like skipping ahead a little, but yeah, Nikki goes out as a scout, and we cut over back in the middle of the desert rather, because the Gundam team is there. You can't get around it. Hyakushiki's doing the thirsty flower pose It is on its knees and hands and knees, which is like, it makes sense. That's like how you would be, that's how you would get out of a cockpit on Earth, like when you're not in a hangar where you can't like, float around or anything like that. But like, it still just looks so stupid. It's not dignified at all. And
it's kind of silly.
It's very, very silly. And Yakushiki's all shitty. It's full of sand. And like, no one really knows how to operate on it because they haven't been in the desert before. They barely know what sand is. Anakin Skywalker wishes he was them.
And they're kind of worried about fighting if they're traveling over the desert because traveling over the desert is hard enough. How are they going to adjust to fighting in it?
Yeah.
Surely they're not going to have to do that, right?
Yeah. Why would they? It's that's crazy talk. And everyone hates this. It's like hot as hell. And we got to pull. She's inside the Mega Rider's cockpit, just straight up taking a bath. She has like an inflatable bath, and she's just like chilling. And she's like, if I don't get to take a bath every single day, I'm going to throw a tantrum and cry and scream all the time. And honestly, same. I get it.
She's like, it's dirty out here, and I can't be dirty.
If I get a single grain of sand in my hair, I'm quitting the team.
And she's locked herself in the Mega Rider with all of their supplies.
I'm looking at my notes. I accidentally typed the Mega Rider as the Bega Rider. It's like, wow, Lou Bega has his own mobile armor.
I love it.
But yeah, she's locked in and she's refusing. She's like, keep on taking all the water. And Judo's like, all right, fucking fine. Judo decides to go out in the Zeta, not the double Zeta, I guess, because the Zeta has the Wave Rider mode, so he can go real fast. He's going to look for water and food for everyone, basically, because Pull is being absolutely no help right now.
She's a brat.
She's a brat, and just like brats do, she notices Judo leaves, and then she basically takes the entire Mega Rider herself and flies off after him.
And Judo kind of looks over his shoulder and sees the Mega Rider, so he lands the the Zeta and kind of stops to scold her. And while they're standing there arguing, we see kind of a crosshair go over them, and but it turns out it's just a camera. The Xeon Scout has spotted them.
Yep, he do be looking. He's doing eyes emoji at them.
Takes some pictures and returns to base to show them to Rommel.
And Rommel's like, oh, fuck yes, dude, 8 years, let's fucking go, baby! He's so excited. He wants to fight. Rommel, he gets out to reconnaissance, and he heads out with Callahan. And it's funny, I believe in 0079, during the Belfast arc, there's a character named Callahan. I don't think it's the same Callahan, because I'm pretty sure everyone died there. But he heads out with a guy named Callahan, who may or may not be the same from 0079. And, he's out in his Dodge, and Callahan's out in the Zaku, I believe. I don't think he's in his own Dodge. But anyway, Judo and Pol are still continuing their search. And we get this little cute little conversation where Judo tells Pol, everyone's probably starving by now. And Pol's like, I don't care.
Yeah, who cares about them?
I only care about you, Judo. And Judo's like, everyone's going to hate you. And she's like, so?
I don't care if everyone hates me as long as you like me.
She's being a fucking brat. I feel like Bicha and Mondo have stepped away from being my star character whom I hate the most this week. And I think Pol is kind of taking that right now.
Oh, God, yeah, especially with some of the antics she gets into later.
Oh, God, yeah, she's just, I get it, right? She's 8, 10, something like that. I don't know, it makes sense, but it's just still frustrating. But yeah, she doesn't care, she only likes Judo. As long as Judo's fine with her, she doesn't care how many enemies she makes. But this conversation's cut short because they're attacked by the Xeon suits.
That are hiding under the sand.
Under the sand.
Under the sand. And
they just pop out, they're totally buried. And, they're very, very good at fighting in sand. They've been living in the desert for 8 years. So this is their home turf. And, Rommel's fighting Judo, and, he's, way more than a match for him. And at some point, Judo will, he sends Pol out of the cockpit to get in the Mega Rider. And then Callahan's just, start firing at her. And Judo's like, you would fire at an armed girl! And he freaks out and, fires grenades at him to cover for her.
And he hits Callahan's gun. And then, turns his attention back to Rommel as they start fighting some more.
Mm-hmm.
And Judo's having a real hard time keeping himself upright and standing straight in the sand, and it's really throwing him off in the fight.
Yeah, it's like Judo does not we already seen it from the very first episode. He's not good at fighting on under gravity, and when you add sand in that, it's oh, this is way, way worse.
It's like running on the beach, but worse.
Step on the beach. So, and it's, at some point, Rommel's fire into the sand, and eventually Pole like sort of ambushes them as they regroup because they're like hiding to get Judo, and like Pole like rides over them in the Mega Rider and just fires on them, and like that kind of gets them to retreat, and Pole gets the Judo, and like everyone kind of like heads off back to their own teams.
And we cut back to the Gundam team, and Bicha is complaining to Mondo about the heat, and L comes up and like tells them to stop bickering and get ready to go because they're gonna go find Judo and Pole because they've just been out there for too long.
Got fucking nothing else to do, I guess. And we cut over again to the Rommel Corps, and they're basically digging holes for their mobile suits to sit inside. And they're, hanging out there as a trap, and they're like still asking, Calhan's asking Rommel if Nikki's gonna pull through, and he believes in Nikki. And like they're again, Jake, they're all doing the thirsty flower pose. This is the thirsty flower Corps. They're all just like on their hands and knees, just fucking the least dignified way to like store a mobile suit I can possibly imagine.
Absolutely.
I cannot get over it. It is so silly to me. But no, they're just lying in wait for Nikki now.
Yeah, and they're setting up an ambush.
Ready to fucking get them. We cut over to we see Pool and Judo. They're still trying to navigate back, and Pool doesn't. She says she doesn't trust a desert map made by spacemen, and Judo's like, spacemen? You made spacenoids like us? And she's like, whatever, same thing. Get over it, girl.
And Rue is then complaining about the Double Zeta not being built for this environment, this weather. And L is basically like, all of our suits are like that. They were built for space, not Earth. Quit your whining.
It's simply how it be. But yeah, they're wandering, and then they see Judo, and they're like, oh shit. But at that point, they're interrupted again because they're attacked by Rommel Corps, and it's just like this whole fucking, everyone's all freaking out. They're fighting, and Judo is like lured away by Nikki, who starts, flying back, and he's totally fallen for it because Nikki's going to lead Judo right into the enemy's trap. And this whole thing is like, Nikki is very, very nervous about this. He is not having a good time. He's like, is he going to take the bait? Like, why isn't he going any faster? Is he trying to scout ahead? Is like, Nikki is like, sort of like freaking out a little bit here.
And Judo has Pole get off go into the Mega Rider and go over to everybody and like kind of tell them that somehow Pole knows that this is a trap and everybody needs to come with him. Yeah.
I mean, it kind of makes sense it's a trap, right? But of course, they all listen anyway. And they're all hanging on to the Mega Rider, like they're wobbling because Mondo or Bicha keeps on moving it, and it's like I like one of the I think the Double Zeta's in the middle of the Mega Rider, and then like the Mark II and the Hyakshiki are like hanging off either side, like wobbling around. It's very silly.
It's kind of a cool look though. I like it.
It is a pretty fun look. I do quite like to see it. And we cut over. Judo's still fighting. And he's like lured into the spot where the trap is, and like Nikki is like freaking out. He's like fucking And Rommel orders the bazooka team to fire, but like Nikki's still there, and Nikki's so afraid, and like Rommel keeps firing. Nikki's like, I'm here, my friend Lee Zaku, and Nikki gets like totally blown up.
Yeah, Rommel actually, before he gets blown up, tells everybody to up the barrage after hearing Nikki like cut radio and like, hey, I'm on your side. Hey, let me get in first. And he's like, nope, up the barrage. And then that's when Nikki gets hit.
So I don't know if this was Rommel, like, shooting, like, specifically trying to get Nikki, or if this was Rommel, like, I don't care if he's in the way, like, we need to destroy this Gundam no matter what. Either way,
I took it as the second.
Yeah, like, I don't think it's Rommel, like, punishing Nikki for, having a cowardly family. I think Rommel's just, like, a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
But fuck yeah, and we get a freaky ass shot because Nikki's blown up, and then like the charred head of his Zaku sort of like flies at the camera. It's like, it's freaky. It startled me a little bit.
Oh yeah, it was really like,
it's like, But now it's like Whack-A-Mole City because Judo's fighting, the rest of Rommel Corps, and they're all popping out of the sand right around him. He's like, This is fucking Doug Trio.
Oh crap, I'm surrounded, and one guy almost gets him, but then out of nowhere, a beam rifle shot comes in, and we see Bicha was shooting at him and saves Judo.
Yay! Woo! Woohoo! And, it's this whole big old fight. And, like, everyone's firing like crazy. There's sand going everywhere. And Judo goes Dorito mode in the Zeta to sort of, like, fly over and ambush the bazooka formation, breaking them because they're, laying this, like, supporting fire from far away. And just like the Rommel Corps is getting completely blasted right now. Not looking good.
Beecha and L are like rushing their front line, and now they've got the enemy surrounded because there's so many of them, and they know what they're doing.
Yeah, and at this point, it's only Rommel's left. It's just Rommel and Judo are sort of like remaining there for a standoff, and Judo sort of like steps out of the cockpit, and he's like, "Hey, stop! Like, there's no need to fight anymore." And Rommel sees that Judo's just a kid, and he just like he really does not like to see this. He freaks the hell out.
And he sees that he's a kid and sees that there's his whole team got taken out by 4 mobile suits, and he spends some time in his head kind of reflecting on his men and how they've been training for 8 years only to be beaten by just a handful of children. He's like, did the flow of time really stop around us? And like we see a vision of all of his men saluting him. And Judo's like, surrender, there's no way you're gonna win.
It's like, this is not a fight worth fighting. And Rommel doesn't care. Like, he basically has too much honor. And we see like a shot of Rommel in the cockpit, and like the sort of like hue shifts red as Rommel does this like one last battle cry and charges Judo. And everyone's like firing at him at the same time, but like it's kind of just like bouncing off him. Like his armor is like falling off as he's like charging ahead. And Judo's like basically doesn't even do anything. He just activates his beam saber as Rommel like charges at him. And like, you know, basically has to like impale Rommel as Rommel like runs right into him in his dodge.
And as you know, Judo's standing there with his beam saber in his chest, he tells him like, "Why were you so reckless?" And we get a last line from Rommel. He says, "Do you think I was reckless? I chose to wait. I prepared. I plotted. I did everything right." And then he collapses and booms.
Like that. God, it's really hard hitting because, you know, from Judo's perspective, he was being reckless, right? Like these kids show up in the middle of the desert, and Rommel activates his team and goes after them right away. But for Rommel, like this is like basically everything to him. Like he's been waiting, he and his men, 8 years for this, so he can basically, you know, like revive Zeon, continue the fight, and like I'm putting a very big asterisk on all this sympathy because again, he's named after an infamous Nazi general, but like it's very hard hitting, right? Because like, you know, from the perspective of Rommel, it's like, oh shit, like these kids rolled up, ruined my day, killed all of my men, and there's nothing I can do about it. And then like this kid has the audacity to call me reckless when this is like my number one plan that I've done nothing but think about for the last 8 years of my life.
And honestly, like he's right. He did kind of do everything that he should have. He scoped them out. He got intel. He prepared a really good plan. It's just that they were simply too powerful. Yeah. And it doesn't matter how much you think ahead of them. They're, like you said, the flow of time stopped around them, and they just couldn't keep up with what's new.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because like I feel like Gundam shows sort of waver one way or another on like the main character is either like this insane ace pilot who can win with like a piece of shit mobile suit, or the character is, you know, also an insane ace pilot, but has like the most state-of-the-art prototypical mobile suit that there's no way they can't win any fight. And like, you know, Rommel Corps had numbers and training and experience, but like Judo's team had Gundams, right? Yeah. And like that's how the show goes. You can't win them when you're fighting 3 Gundams and a Golden Boy. Like it's, yeah, like, you know, it was a hopeless fight. There's no way he could have won it. So it's just like this very just like tragic situation, and it sort of doubles down on that tragedy because we cut over and we see the entire, you know, population of the village that the Rommel Corps was in, seeing the smoke from the battle, and like Rommel's wife and son are crying, or Nikki's wife and son are crying, looking at it. It's just like, oh.
And then the Gundam team does, you know, they just get in their suits and slowly walk away. It's nothing to them.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Like, we see Judo crying over it, because Judo cries whenever he has to kill someone, right? But, like,
yeah,
you know, we never really get that from anyone else in the Gundam team, which is interesting. Like, I wonder if we're ever going to get that, if, like, everyone else is going to have to reckon with it, or since Judo's the main character, he's the only one who ever does get to reckon with the fact that they're killing people. But it's just, I don't know, it sucks. These kids shouldn't have to be doing this, but fucking it's Gundam, so we don't have a choice, do we?
Nope, not at all.
No, you know, the very, very last shot is it's night in the town, and once again, Nikki's wife is like crying at like, there's like this one unmarked grave. It's just like a little cross, and it has a Zeon pilot helmet hanging from it. Just like she's crying at it. It's just like,
Ooh, yeah, it was. We had talked before about like the last shots of the episodes being really pretty, and this one was beautiful in a sad way. Like,
yeah,
they still. Oh man, I had to take like a couple hour break after watching this episode before watching the next one.
Yeah, hey, speaking of, let's see if this next episode's any less heavy. Spoiler alert, it's not.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, especially because I saw in the Discord you said something about episode 26 being rough, and I was like, oh, I need to take a little bit before I start watching this one.
I mean, okay, look, particularly I typed in all caps, feeling normal after episode 26.
Yeah.
Which obviously, means this was not a good, well, it was a good episode, but didn't make me feel good. So, without further ado, Jake, let me tell you about Mobile Suit Gundam Double Zeta episode 26, Masai's Heart. In the desert, we see a woman talking to the Zeon pilot helmet of her dead lover, Tag. Judo flies up to her, still in search of water. She has him join her on the way to an oasis village. She takes him back to the Gundam team's camp, where she sees their mobile suits and drops Judo off, telling him how to get to the village because she can't take him herself. She rides back and is tailed by Judo and Pull, who go to retrieve the core fighter, as the rest of the team go to the village. Predictably, the villagers don't let the Gundam team in to get water because of their mobile suits. Meanwhile, Judo and Pull see the woman, now known as Masai, get in the Gelgoog that belonged to Tag. She flies off towards the village, and Judo and Pull follow. She attacks the Gundam team and is more than a match for them all until Judo combines a Double Zeta and destroys the Gelgoog, but not before he pulls her out of the cockpit, leaving Tag's helmet behind. The Gundam team end up getting their water and leave, and Masai now resides in the village, still asking Tag in her head what she should do next. Oh baby, this one hurts.
Ooh, yeah.
When the very first thing you see is like a woman talking to like a memento of her dead lover, it's like, oh geez, beans, here we go.
And we learn later on in the episode that this isn't the case, but I figured at first that she was from the same village that we just saw, and that like maybe Tag was one of Rommel's men. So that would I was like, oh, this is kind of like a two-parter, but I was wrong.
No, and interestingly enough, she definitely mentions it at some point in the episode, but like she says that Tag's been dead for I think 3 years.
Yep.
So I don't know my Gundam history I don't know the history of all the parts of the Universal Century, but like what was happening 3 years ago? I guess it was still like Titans fighting Zeon remnants.
Yeah, and like Rommel says at one point in the last episode that he and his men have been in these 8 years have been holding like guerrilla operations against the Federation. So it's possible that Tag maybe was in a similar situation. Yeah,
like he very well could have been part of the Rommel Corps, or some other Zeon cell in northern Africa.
Yeah,
I don't know, but yeah, episode starts out, and also very nice, smooth jazz we're hearing.
Ooh, yeah, it was pretty.
Very good to hear, and we get this really nice, smooth jazz, and it was weirdly juxtaposed because this woman is again talking to her helmet of Tag, and she's like just sort of mentions something about checking the mechanisms, and I'm like, and then she sees Judo fly around in the core fighter above. And Judo's like searching for an oasis, and he sees a camel, and like in this distraction just crashes the core fighter into a dune trying to follow it. Because as we all know, Jake, camels have water in their humps.
Yes, if he can just catch this camel, he'll have some water.
To be fair, in his defense, he's never been to Earth before, and I don't know if there's much of a reason for him to learn about camels up in space. But even so, come on, Judo, surely you know it can't work like that.
And he's chasing after it, and Masai kind of stops the camel and calms it down.
Mm-hmm.
And he catches up to her and like tells her his grand plan, and she's like, "You can't do that.
It don't work, homie."
Yeah, she's just like, no.
Does not work that way, but I'll take you to where an oasis can be found. And she gives him a water skin. And she says that the law of the desert is to help people in trouble, which is very, very nice of her. Good for her.
And she's like, "Are you crossing the desert in just that fighter all by yourself?"
And he says, "No, I am with friends. We're in mobile suits." And she just sort of takes note of this. And she's like, "Okay, get on the camel. I will take you to an oasis."
You can kind of see, like, for a brief second, they, like, drew, like, this look of just absolute, like you see some fire in her eyes for a split second.
Yeah, no, I noticed that too. It's, like, very quick, but also very deliberate. You can tell she, the gears spin for a quick second when she hears about mobile suits. And then we see the Gundam team. They're hanging out. They're still in thirsty flower pose because they're still just waiting for Judo to get back. He's still looking for water. And they're just Rue and Elle are like having a big ass argument over the map.
And Beach and Mondo try to break it up. And Elle says that because they're trying to break it up, they're obviously siding with Rue.
Obviously.
How could you guys? And Beach is like, no, we're siding with the simple fact of we need to find more water.
Yeah, fucking checks out.
And as they're arguing, Pole is like kind of wakes up and she mutters something about it's like, oh, it's so hot.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it's hot. They're in the desert. The fucking train is coming again.
Choo-choo!
Choo-choo, bitch. And then, we see more Rue and Elle arguing. And then off screen, you just hear a splash of water. And of course, we cut over, and Elle is soaking wet because Pole is soaking wet because she has poured the rest of the water on her.
All of their water just went splash on her head.
And then the girls, Elle and Rue, reunite, and they're friends again because they are united under the front of, let us fucking torture Pole.
They're like, we can tie her to the back of the Mark II. It's pretty hot up there.
You can cook an egg on the Gundam.
Yeah, you can cook an egg on it. And they're like, you don't get to be in the shade anymore until you promise not to use up any more water. She's like, there's more water? No, absolutely not. There's no more water.
Absolutely not. And they say it in unison, all caps. Text is cute. And she's like, fine, I'm going to go. Where's Judo? And they tell her that Judo left when she was asleep. And then she like freaks out and she doesn't even bother getting in a mobile suit. She just starts storming off into the desert on her own.
Yeah, she just throws on a cloak and runs off into the desert.
Yep.
And the only person who gives a shit is Eno. He's like, hey, we probably shouldn't let her do that. She's baby.
Eno's the voice of reason among the Gundam team. He's like the only one who actually thinks things through.
And everybody's just like, nah, fuck her.
Like, Rue does for the most part, but Eno most of all is like, hey, let's use our brains about this one, please. I'm wearing a bowling shirt. I'm dad now.
But before Pole can get too far off, Judo and Masai approach on the camel.
Yep, they're right there. And, Pole runs up and everyone runs up and to greet Judo back. And, they're like, who's this? And, like, Pole especially is like, very wary because she's a woman and how dare a woman hang out with my big brother.
Yeah. She kind of like hits him on the chest and she's like, how dare you?
How dare you? And Masai is like looking around. She sees all the mobile suits and she's like, I can't take this many back to the village. You'll have to go yourself. Just follow the direction of the shadows and you'll make it there in no time. And she just kind of returns the way she came.
And as she's leaving, Pole is like still jealous and she goes, what was her name even? And Judo's like, oh, I didn't think to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Whoops.
Yeah. Uh-oh. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but like, we learn eventually.
I just thought it was kind of funny because until now, in my notes, I've just been calling her Tag's wife because I didn't know who she was.
Yeah, I just said the woman.
I was like, oh yeah, we never did get her name.
Yeah, you learn like halfway through, but regardless.
Pole can feel that she has a very lonely heart. Yes,
thank you. Yeah, she her eyes have some of this sadness behind her. She's a very lonely heart, and Judo's like, what could that possibly mean, Pole? And she's like, she goes back to her camel. She's like sort of talking to Tag in her head, and she's like telling him that the mobile suits he's waited for are here. Soon everyone will understand him. And I'm like, probably not good.
Yikes. Judo and Pole are going to go find the core fighter that he left out in the desert.
Yes.
While everybody else is going to head to the village, and he's like, "We'll catch up later after we get the plane."
Yep. And we just kind of cut right over because the rest of the gang has made it to the village, and Rue is telling everyone to chill the fuck out and calm the fuck down to not freak out the villagers because the villagers are going out to meet them, and Rue is telling them to be on their best behavior because they're probably not going to be very happy if you're just like freaking out, bringing mobile suits into the village all willy nilly.
And they land close enough to like cause wind to kind of blow the villagers like clothing back a little bit. So I was like, maybe you didn't pay attention to Rue because that's a little bit too close for comfort. Maybe not in the village.
Yeah. And let's see, we cut back over again. Pole and Judo are still heading to the core fighter, but then they see Masai go into a cave and they sort of follow her. And she's in a Xeon pilot uniform inside a mobile suit. Uh-oh.
And Judo like interrupts her talking to Tag, and he's like, "You were with the Zeons all along?" And he like jumps in the cockpit and tries to like rip her out of it.
Yeah, not great, but like she basically refuses to go. I think she either headbutts or like punches Judo or something. She totally knocks him away with the helmet.
Yeah, she smacks him with the helmet.
Yeah. And she's like, she has to get in this Gelgoog and fight. And yeah, she's in a Commander Gelgoog. It's like red, which is how you know it's a Commander unit. And she just totally flies off.
And back at the village, like the kids are fascinated. The kids of the village are fascinated by the mobile suits. And the elders, you can tell that they're kind of like perturbed. They're like, don't get near that thing. And then there was a line that really scared me, but nothing came of it.
Yeah.
They're like, what's that building? And Rue's like, I think it's a mosque. And Beecha was like, what's that? And she goes, oh, it's like a religious building, like a church or something. And I was like, oh no. But that was it.
I was like, very, very afraid. Yeah, thankfully nothing does come of it. But like, yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh, you can't do this to me, Gundam. Please don't do this to me.
But they literally just say that it's kind of like a church and leave it at that. And I was like, okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, they don't. We never really see them go into the village at all, which is nice. But yeah, you know, Elle mentions that they were sent here by a woman when the villagers refused to let them in, and then the elders like, so this is Masai's doing, and it's too late for all that because Masai is here in the Gelgoog.
Oh, and all the villagers are like yelling at them to get in their machines and leave. They don't want shit to do with these.
Oh, people. They want them out of here. Masai's here to fuck shit up. Rue tells everyone to go capture the Gelgoog because it might tell Haman that the Gundam team's going to the desert because they don't know that Masai is in the Gelgoog. They just see it as a Zeon suit and they have to take it down. So they're rolling off to capture it.
Yep, they think it's a scout, which I thought was like pretty clever. And Masai hits Beecha and like she aims at Mondo, but her gun malfunctions and so she kind of runs away some more.
She's fighting really, really well. Like, she's very, very maneuverable. It's home field advantage. She's lived in the desert for this whole time, so like she's able to, you know, fight way better than everyone else can in the desert.
And like we shoot back to the kids in the village, and they're like, "Oh, Masai's fighting so cool. She's so amazing." And the elders are like, "Go inside. Do not watch this."
Yeah, it's like we don't. This is not good for your psyche. And Masai takes out like a sand sprayer tube as she's fighting, and she's just kind of like disabling their attacks by just like blasting the mobile suits with sand the whole time.
She's using the Pokemon move Sand Attack.
She's using sand attacks to lower the accuracy, of course. and we get a quick cutaway because Judo and Pull finally get in the core fighter, and it's like, you know, buried in sand. So they get in the cockpit, and Judo like flips it upside down while it's open, and Pull almost falls out. And she's like, buckle yourself in, please. Come on.
Yeah, she's like, what the hell, Judo? And he's like, I told you to hang on.
I warned you.
I warned you about flipping upside down.
Yeah. And they cut, you know, back to the fight. It's not going well. Elle and Rue are still sort of arguing, and Elle nearly crashes into like a big old rock while she's like yelling at Rue, trying to sort of track Masai because she's like darting between these pillars of stone.
And they kind of fight for a little bit more, and then Judo shows up, and he docks with Elle to form the Double Zeta.
Well, before he docks with Elle to form the Double Zeta, we cut over to Mondo, who's in the Mark II fighting her. And she, like, knocks Mondo into sand. And it's quicksand. She's like, Tag told me that there's quicksand here. And Mondo's, like, freaking the hell. Mondo's like, I'm gonna drown! Ah! And Ino's, like, in the Mega Launcher trying to, like, hover over him. And I think,
Rue's, like, hanging on to the...
Yeah. Rue's in the Zeta hanging on, trying to lift him up. And then, like... Masai jumps up and knocks her away and, like, you know, use the double-bladed beam saber to almost stab the Mega Launcher, and then she, like, stomps on the Mark II to get it back down the quicksand.
She freaking, like, Goomba hops him.
Yeah. Let's go! Wahoo!
Oh, wahoo!
She pulls a Mario. And then, yeah, Judo fires some missiles out of the core fighter to knock her away. And now Judo, you know, combines into the Double Zeta and starts fighting Masai. And, like, Pull does not like this. Pull's, like, sort of, like, telling Judo to stop, and, you know, Pull knows what's going on here.
And they're sword fighting, and like Masai recognizes that he has the advantage. He's stronger. So she's like, I have to be faster. There's no enemy a Gelgoog can't defeat. That's what Tag taught me.
And that's probably true. But like, it's just very funny. It's a very Pokemon way of looking at it. It's like, yeah, you don't need to be strong if you can hit first. Like, as long as you're fast enough, doesn't matter what your fucking attack or special attack stat is. Get that speed stat, doesn't matter, you can take him out first. I got Pokemon in the brain because our bye week is almost over. Gotta start planning again.
Oh, yeah. But she says she's fighting to restore Tag's honor and show the villagers. They shunned him because he was an outsider, and they hated mobile suits. And so she's going to show them the power of his mobile suit, so they'll realize that Tag was a great man.
Yeah, and it's, I get that, right? I get her motivation here, because like, this is clearly the man that she loved, and it's like she's doing this for him. And I think that, as bad as Gundam gets with its women characters, I feel like, and I obviously could be wrong, so this could just be my sort of take on it. Not being a woman, I don't have that experience, but like, I don't know. I feel like the portrayal of Masai is like this, she's avenging Tag. She's like doing this for him, but it doesn't feel like she's doing it for a man. It's like she's doing this because like vindicating the one she loves in a way. Like, yeah. I feel like it's more admirable than most other sort of like motivations of women Gundam characters are.
Yeah, she's not doing it for vengeance. She just wants to show that like he wasn't useless like the village thought he was. Like he wasn't a bad person. She's
like just doing it to justify his existence. The point is, I think like what Masai is doing is fine. Like, fucking killing kids is not fine, but like I think on paper her motivation of doing this to sort of like vindicate the one she loves is like, yeah, okay, sure, I get it, that's fine. And then, Judo's still fighting her. He ends up cutting the arm and the head of Gelgoog off and pulls, like, begging her to eject, but she won't. It's Tag's honor on the line.
And she says that she can't go back and face the villagers like this if she loses.
Which is probably true. Probably not. Who can possibly say?
Pull begs Judo to save her. And so he, like, punches open the cockpit. And he's like, Pull, watch my back. I'm going to run in there.
Mm-hmm. And he does. And he knocks him in the cockpit. He's trying to pull her out, but like, she doesn't want to go, but he eventually just like yanks her out. But the helmet was left inside, and the Gelgoog fucking blows up with the helmet still there.
And Pull kind of feels bad for her. I guess she kind of had a new type connection with her, because she's been alone for 3 years since he died, and now she'll just be even more alone.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. Pull clearly has that cyber new type intuition of just like she's so fucking hopped up on Wario Pill MDMA. But like, yeah, Pull almost gives the exposition here, since she's the one who gets it outside of Masai telling them herself. And like, yeah, Pull's like sort of crying over this now.
Which I think is really a good juxtaposition from her from the last episode, because in the last episode she was like, I don't care about anybody else. And she's like, she's like, okay, now I kind of do a little bit.
I didn't even pick up on that. No, yeah, absolutely. It's like, she can be sort of like bratty and goofy with her friends, but like she makes that connection, on the battlefield. It's like in completely different circumstances here. Fucking Desert Arc is sad so far, man. We see the Gundam team, they're getting their water and leaving the village, and Pull's still crying over Masai because she's kind of alone forever. And the village elder sort of talks about how like, Masai's in the village, her heart is at peace, which is like, I don't know if her heart's at peace, because she's just like fucking standing there sitting in an empty room all by herself.
Yeah, and the ending shot of this episode is Masai going to a dark corner in an empty house and just sitting on the floor and like staring at the ground and asking Tag what she should do now.
And fucking the smooth jazz is once again playing. Please read the room. Please stop playing smooth jazz over these important moments. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, God, these episodes are so good. And from what I can tell, next episode, it's gonna get pretty serious. So I'm very like, mild panic emoji right now, waiting for that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the name of the next episode,
Lena's Blood.
I'm not super excited.
It'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure I'll be normal and not feel like a fucking psycho afterwards.
Yeah.
But whatever. We'll talk more about Silent Voice next week. The opening started for this episode, but next week I feel like, thematically, whatever. It's very good.
Yeah.
Silent Voice. Either way.
I'll definitely have to look it up. It sounds, I didn't even know of its existence, so I'll definitely...
Yeah, I believe friend of the show, Cass, says that this is their favorite Gundam opening, at least of all of UC trilogy. So, well, I'll have to do some sort of like power rankings on all of the UC Gundam openings eventually. Once we kind of got them all. Regardless, how about Jake, to sort of lighten the mood, like we fucking have to do every single week we do this podcast? I can give you a Beyond Toon World.
You're going to love this. Trust me. beyond tomorrow.
Oh, right.
I've been doing so many of them, Jake, because Double Zeta just brings the heat. Double Zeta has a lot of very good voice actors that have very cool storied roles that I like to talk about. And the cool thing about it is that, like, you know, these are voice actors who were active mostly in, like, the 80s and 90s, so it's, like, a lot more, like, sort of older school anime. So when we do like, you know, I wonder how different it'll be when I do G Gundam or, like, Wing or fucking, you know, cutting even ahead when I do, like, Unicorn or something, or, like, IBO. It'll be really cool to see the voice actors, like, of a more modern time. So
Hell yeah.
But this week we're talking about a Double Zeta voice actor. We're going to talk about the voice of Ino in Japan, Masami Kikuchi. Masami Kikuchi, he was born April 24th, 1960 in Chino, Nagano, Japan. I know Wikipedia lists this as agency. He worked as freelance for a year or two, but, like, you know, the bio isn't really there. All we know is he's a voice actor. Mm-hmm. And because he's a voice actor, he has voice roles. So let me tell you, Jake, we will go through his history and a lot of really notable stuff here, actually.
Ooh,
so
yay.
Starting out, 1985, Zeta Gundam. He was Keythron, Adol, Dunkel, and Body. I believe Keythron and Body were part of the Argama. Adol and Dunkel were Titans. I remember at some point they died. Who cares? Double Zeta. He's obviously Ino. He's also Keythron, because Keythron is still in Double Zeta. He's like one of the Argama bridge. He's either like a bridge or he's a maintenance person, or he's part of Kuraba. I don't really remember. I just know the name. I recognize it. You know, I see, oh, I know that one. In Dirty Pair 1987, he was MASH. So Dirty Pair, again, shout out to Colin for the knower of Dirty Pair roles. In 1988, in Legend of the Galactic Heroes, he was Louis Helm, or maybe it's Louis Helm. Again, haven't seen the show. Here's one for the gamers. Not really. 1990, Samurai Pizza Cats. It was Ronnie Geismuller, which is a very weird name for a Japanese show, so maybe that's the American name applied to the Japanese character. Who could possibly fucking say? 1991, he was the voice of Skeeter in the Japanese dub of Doug.
Oh, that's perfect.
Skeeter, come on, we love it. Honk. Honk. In 1992, in Tenchi Muyo, he was Tenchi Masaki, and he would be the voice of Tenchi for all the Tenchi Muyo series.
Right
so
on.
he's like a lot of main characters, because also in 1993, oh my goddess, he was Keiichi Morisato, and he's been Keiichi Morisato in all the other Goddess series.
Right on.
Here's something. Speaking of G Gundam, he's Hans Holger, which I believe is the Windmill Gundam pilot. We love the Windmill Gundam, or I think is it the Holland Gundam? It's something like that. Nether Gundam, that's what it was. He's the pilot of the Nether Gundam in G Gundam.
Oh, hell yeah.
And if you remember, Jake, the last time we did Beyond Tune, where we talked about the guy who was the voice actor for like every single Sonic throughout history.
Yeah?
Well, before Sonic Adventure came out, there was a Sonic OVA movie, and Masami Kikuchi was Sonic and Metal Sonic in the Sonic movie.
Oh, shit. I love the Sonic OVA.
It's so fun.
I rented that so many times from, like, not Blockbuster, but, like, my grocery store that my grandma went to had a video rental place.
Oh, man.
And I rented that movie from
That's
there
a
so
90s
many
ass
times.
sentence, Jake.
Yeah, it is, man.
It's cool. I remember first seeing a preview for it in like one of the Pokemon movies I would always watch as a kid, and I was like, this looks so fucking cool. I love it. It's so fun. I love the animation. It's so pretty. It still holds up. It looks incredible to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Good shit. Sonic's fun. Listen to the Sonic Shuffle. 1989, this is a Digimon guy, Jake. Because in 1999, he was the voice of Joe Keto. One of the Digidestined. Joe, possibly the lamest Digidestined. I mean, definitely the lamest on paper, but like, I don't care as much as for Joe as I do the other characters. But then again, I feel like Joe has this whole arc to him. But
he's not my least favorite.
Yeah. Aside from Joe, he was Gazimon, the weird sort of like bunny, evil Banui sort of guy. Bakumon, the ghost. Meramon, the fire dude. Geckomon, the geckos. Numemon, little poopy slug. Monzaimon, the big old evil teddy bear. Jireimon, which is the nasty tree. And Divermon, that cool, weird, like, fighter, cyborg frog guy.
Hell yeah.
Stuff. In the 1999 adaptation of Hunter x Hunter, he was Wing. Starting in 1999 in One Piece, because every single character we've done is a character in One Piece, He was Doran, Kelly, Funk, and Cub.
I do not remember them, but that's cool.
Smaller characters that still show up enough for him to get credit in like every One Piece game and adaptation.
I mean, there's only like 1 million episodes of One Piece.
Yeah, there's only literally 1,000 volumes of One Piece. 2000, in Digimon Adventure 2, he was Daemon, the evil Satan demon looking guy. Starting in 2001, Baki the Grappler, he's Baki Hanma.
Oh,
another
snap.
main-ass character. 2001, remember Rave Master, Jake?
Oh my god, that just hit me with some nostalgia right there.
Yeah, he was Sieg Hart and Rave Master in the sequel series and the games and stuff.
What, excuse me for just a second. Did you say sequel series?
I looked up, hold on, behind the voice actors, Double Zeta. It autofills to be Double Zeta for me when I look it up. Rave Master, the Special Attack Force 2002 game. Oh, just kidding. No, I lied. It's Rave Master and then Rave Master video game, but the art was updated so it looked like a sequel series. My bad. It's just Rave Master.
Okay.
And then two games about it.
I was just about to
quit the podcast and start a new podcast about Rave Master.
Podmaster, there we go.
There you go.
Rave Podster.
Rave Podster. Podmaster. In 2002, Digimon Frontier, he was Neemon, the funny little pants Banui guy. He's like a main Digimon character who always hung around. In 2003, Zatch Bell, he was Kiantrome, that nasty, like, duckbill baby guy.
Oh, man. He's Iron Man Fulgore's partner, right?
Yeah. In cutting ahead, because a lot of his stuff is like games and whatnot, like, he's in all of the Super Robot Wars games whenever Ino shows up or any of the other characters. In Digimon Fusion 2010, he was Damemon, Monitamon, and Tuarmon. In 2011, adaptation of Hunter x Hunter, he was Zepile or Zepiel. I don't partake of Hunter x Hunter. Weird one, 2013, the Smurfs 2. He was the Party Planner Smurf. Rounding it out, Dragon Ball Super. He was Monaka and Belmod, Monaka being the strongest fighter of Universe 7, which is a lie. He's like the funny little red elf guy with the green leotard who has the nipples poking out of it.
Oh yeah, I like that guy.
And Belmod being the god of destruction of Universe... Oh, what was it? Was it Universe 3? Whatever Jiren's universe was, the clown one. We all know the clown one. In the 2018 Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, he was Kikono, which was the sort of weird, just green, normal-ass alien Frieza race guy who was like the one in charge of reciting the Dragon Ball, almost said lyrics. He's one of Frieza's guys in that movie. And then most recently in the 2020 Digimon Adventure adaptation, he's Neemon again. He's all these Banuis.
Nice.
So thank you, Masami Kikuchi, for your service. Thank you for being a bunch of Digimon. Thank you for your very iconic 90s anime characters. I am saluting.
Absolutely.
And I am also asking you, Jake, as we end this episode, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me on the twitter.com at Mr. Jakey Poo. You can also find me on a podcast, Most Foul, which has recently put out a new episode, where my wife and I are reading through the Artemis Fowl books. She's reading through them for the first time, and I'm kind of rereading them. And then you can also catch me on Hearts Against Balance, a Kingdom Hearts-inspired actual play podcast, where we play with the interstitial rules.
Hell yes, love interstitial. Riley Hopkins, game designer extraordinaire.
Hell yeah. And Max, where can we find you?
We can find me, Jake, on Twitter and Instagram at MaxiBajillion. I have a couple of other potted casts, including Yu-Gi-Oh! That's not the name of the podcast. Podcast is called Pot of Greed. It's a show about Yu-Gi-Oh! That's at twitter.com/potofgreedcast. We are going through GX, and I'm going to say it. GX is better than Duel Monsters. And yeah, fucking, it's true. I fully believe it now. And I have another show called Slappers Only, where my friend Jordan and I go through video game music soundtracks and determine which is the best song from each game. That's on Twitter at SlappersOnlyPod or SlappersOnlyPod.com. By the time this episode goes out, I believe our episode on Persona 5 will have come out. So check our Twitter. We should make a questions post. Actually, I'm going to make a questions post right after we finish recording so we can get some input on that, so people can tell us about the game, what they like about it, what their favorite songs are, etc. Fun game. And the show is called Well Cool Robot. We're on Twitter at Well Cool Podcast. We have a Discord link on our Twitter that you can join and hang out and chat with us. We are hosted on Noisepace.xyz, a podcast incubator made by our friend Matt, who is a Nintendo GameCube. You can check this, my shows, and many, many more shows on there. I believe the auto updater is working again, so I don't need to push episodes manually and accidentally screw something up in the process. Sorry, Matt. It's all fixed now, though. And Jake, what's that robot of the week?
Okay, so I've been playing through a game collection that I got for Christmas, the Mega Man 0/ZX collection.
Yes!
And so I've got to say that my robot of the week is Zero from Mega Man.
Zero's so... Dude, Jake, Zero's so fucking cool. Cool ponytail.
Amazing. Beam
saber, that really sick red, white, and green color combo. Zero's just so sick.
He is so cool. God, he is part of like why the X series is my favorite Mega Man series.
Look, if someone tells you that they like X more than Zero, that's like permission from the universe to dunk their head in the toilet. No one likes X more than they like Zero. Come on.
Well, I do so far, but that's because I've only played the first Zero game. I just beat it yesterday, and so I'm about to start the second one. And so Zero as a series might replace X for me.
I meant more of like I think I meant more character wise. Like the character of Zero is cooler than the character of X.
Okay, I gotcha. Yeah,
no,
that's
I think overall,
true.
I don't know. I feel like they occupy different things because they kind of they do different things, right? Because Mega Man X classic sort of action platformer sort of thing. Zero, I feel like goes for something a little bit different. It's still action platformer, but like as the series goes on, it has way more mechanics that you'll sort of realize, like Cyber Elves and all that fucking weird bullshit. The ZX games, though, I fucking love. They're basically Zero Metroidvanias in a way.
Ooh, that's awesome. I never got to play those.
Jake, I love those games so much. Music is amazing. Basically, it's like, what if you could transform into different robot masters in those? It's very, very sick.
Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude. I love Zero. Zero's cool as hell. I'm glad that you're playing those games and enjoying them, Jake.
Oh, I'm so glad. I am just having a dang old blast. X kicked my butt real hard, but beating him was very satisfying.
Yeah, he's cool. I like the way that they tie the actual character of X into those games a lot. It's very cool.
Me too.
It's good shit. Okay, well, this is another short one. It's only an hour 7, but again, we're recording on Valentine's Day, so it's probably better that it's a shorter episode. So, without any further ado, to close, Jake, as we always say, in the words of Zero.
Wow. Nope, I got it backwards. War is bad.
What am I fighting for?